In 1879, the British Empire attempted to push the Zulu Kingdom out of South Africa. The Zulu were a powerful warrior tribe and had proven themselves against the technologically superior British Empire at the Battle of Isandlwana. The battle had been a decisive Zulu victory. The Zulu wanted to finish the job, so they attempted to crush the British troops at a mission known as Rorke's Drift. Prior to the Anglo-Zulu War, the British issued an ultimatum to the Zulu to disband their army and allow British settlers, among other things. I'll go into that in a later video. The day after the ultimatum expired, British forces moved into position on the Zulu side of Buffalo River near Isandlwana and Rorke's Drift. After hearing about the defeat at Isandlwana on January 22nd, the British fortified Rorke's Drift and prepared for an attack. A defensive perimeter was set up using bags of corn, and buildings were set up to fire out of. Around 3:30 p.m. on the 22nd, 100 volunteer cavalrymen arrived. Even with support from the volunteers, the British force totaled only 250. Leading the British were Lieutenants John Chard and Gonville Bromhead. The Zulu, on the other hand, had amassed a force of 3,000 to 4,000. It seemed another Zulu victory was imminent. At 4:20 p.m., the Zulu attacked. The volunteer cavalry were still tired from Isandlwana and low on ammo, so they retreated shortly thereafter. With only about 150 men left, Lieutenant Chard ordered biscuit boxes to be set up in a wall in case half the fortification had to be fled. It was lucky he had the foresight to do so, as the Zulu did overrun the hospital side of the makeshift fort. At this point, the British barricades were too high for the Zulu to climb. Instead, they hid beneath the loopholes and tried to grab British guns when they poked out to fire, occasionally firing their own rounds in. In the hospital, the defending soldiers had to be careful with their defensive loopholes. If they tried to shoot out, the Zulu would grab their rifles, and if the holes were open, the Zulu would shoot in. The defenders broke through the interior walls to make it easier to evacuate patients from the hospital. Of the 11 patients, 9 survived. Once they reached the fortified cattle kraal on the other side, they were unreachable. The Zulu kept up their attack until 2 in the morning. For the next 2 hours, Zulu muskets continued firing. 351 Zulu were killed in the attack, with an estimated 500 to 600 wounded. The British suffered only 17 deaths and 15 serious wounds. 11 Victoria Crosses were awarded to the defenders, 7 in the same regiment, the highest on record. Views on the Battle of Rorke's Drift differ widely. Sir Garnet Wolseley, Commander-in-Chief of the British forces. Sir Garnet Wolseley, Commander-in-Chief of the forces later that year, felt the defenders were not heroes, but merely fending for their lives. Some believe that the large number of Victoria Crosses awarded was to make up for the failure at Isandlwana. Historian Victor Davis Hanson responded to this, saying, quote, "It is difficult to find anything quite like Rorke's Drift, where a beleaguered force, outnumbered 40 to 1, survived and killed 20 men for every defender lost."
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. This is Matthew, and I hope I'll see you next time.
Goodbye, goodbye, where's the dear baby dear from your eye? Though it's hard to part, I know, I'll feel sick of the death to go. Don't cry, don't die, there's a silver lining in the sky. Bonsoir, old thing, cheerio, chin chin, na boo toodaloo.